Hi, I'm Rob, and welcome to the Electrolander Project. What is the Electrolander Project? It's where I'm going to turn that 71-year-old Cushman motor scooter into an electric bike. If this is your first time joining in, hi, welcome to the nonsense. I apologize for the bad set, bad lighting, bad sound, cutting my head off. I'm not a video producer, I'm just a guy in his own garage trying to turn that old bike into an electric bike. If you're continuing on with me, thank you very much. Welcome back to the nonsense. Sorry for the long delay. Today we are in episode 9A, J'ai Perdu ma fourchette dans Joliet. Or, I lost my fork in Joliet. Hi. Alright, so today we are going to attach the lower spring pivot to the spring, which humorously requires me to put the threaded portion of the pivot inside the spring, and therefore I have to somehow or another get the nut, a flat washer, and a lock washer inside the spring. Now, previously, you can hear this, with a lot of help, I got the upper mounting bolt inside the spring. The only way I was able to do that was take two large flat screwdrivers, stick them in from each end, and bend the spring open like I was some sort of strongman, ha ha ha, while the bolt was dropped inside. So, we're going to try and do this. Drop of Loctite, because once it's in there, I don't want to play with it again. Now there's two ends to the spring. One has this angle to it, that's the bottom, and one is a little more straight, that's the top. So we have to go in through the bottom, and then play balancing games to get okay, flat washer's on. Bolt's trying to get in my way. I was doing this, but come on. Now, I'll show you this handy tool later that my son Ray made for me. Almost. It was not designed to do this, but I found that it came in handy on the other spring. And it rolled underneath the tractor. Back in a minute. Murphy's Law states that a dropped bolt will roll to the exact center of the vehicle. Okie dokie. Well, the flat washer's still inside. Got it. Okay, both the washers are inside. Now, this fancy schmancy tool here, I hope you can see this. This is a 9/16 box end wrench with a floor. So, when you set the nut in it, the nut doesn't fall through the wrench. I said my son Ray 3D printed this for me. Extremely handy. So what we're going to do is lay this over, kind of sideways. Try and knock the bolt out of the way. With the back end of the wrench we go. And then what we're going to do is stick the wrench through the spring, which still requires a little bit of stretch, not a lot. Drop nut, take two. Ooh. Not 100% foolproof yet, but it's pretty good. Wrench inside. Okay, so now the wrench is inside the spring, and all I have to do is turn the spring correct way, and the wrench will eventually reach up to the bolt. Doodly bear. And I've lost one of the washers. This is what happens when I put the camera on. I did this in my kitchen. I was like, whoop, done. Okay, got the nut back into the wrench. Now, just need to wind it up the spring until it gets a lot closer. Then pivot. Did this in my kitchen in like 3 minutes. Zip, zip, zip. I don't know who the engineer at Cushman was who thought this was a good idea, but if I ever meet him, we're going to have some words, and they're not going to be nice. Now, what that wrench does is allows me to hold the nut long enough to thread the pivot bolt into it. Got it. Finally, nut is threaded on, and again, really cool wrench. Just needs a little bit of bubble gum. Shake the big bolt out of the way. Standard 9/16 open end wrench to finish tightening this up. Spin there. Now, it is important which way this is turning because it has to line up with the angle. So when you hang it, it swings true. Because what's going to end up happening is when we install it, it's going to sit like that on the fork. So it has to have that angle that way. So once we get it aligned, we're reasonably close. Stick a screw in the pivot to prevent it from rotating. Here, which way it's going to want to rotate. Hi, so today we're going to use the super special 3D printed wrench that my son Ray made for me again. And remember I said the bolt was already inside the nut, or already inside the spring. You can see there, it's in the spring. All I got to do is put this wrench inside the spring and catch that bolt in the wrench. And boy, that's close. If that was any closer, it would be right. stand up into the wrench. No. All right. So now I'm going to save you from watching all this nonsense. We'll be right back. Well, that didn't go nearly as badly as I thought it would. Sorry, you probably could have actually watched that. But, all right. Bolt and washer inside the spring with the thread sticking out. I just have to pass it and do it with the washers. I have to pass it through this bracket here. Flat washer on it, pushing the bolt back inside the spring. Lock washer and the nut. It is dropped on the ground. Take two. We'll use the special 3D printed wrench just to push up on the bolt. Just keep it from popping out. Couple of wrenches. One of the other reasons why I decided to use a Cushman motor scooter for this project was basically you can take the entire bike apart, put it back together again with a set of Craftsman wrenches, a couple of screwdrivers and a couple of pliers, and apparently one 3D printed wrench. Now, the important thing is to remember to orient that bottom pivot correctly so it lines up inside this linkage here. I want to make sure that doesn't spin. And we're done mounting the springs to the fork. Now we need to mount the pivot linkages to the springs. Be right back. Okay, well, that's our show. That's episode 9A. Tune in soon, where we will pick up in episode 9B. J'ai encore perdu ma fourchette dans Joliet. I lost my fork in Joliet again. So, meanwhile, be safe, be kind. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.